it'll be the same way. Northwestern there, you can see that they have kind of like a shift or a game plan of how they want to move and explode. We call it explosions, where they start off in one formation, then they'll explode into another formation, and then run a certain set of plays off of it. So we'll see a whole bunch of new stuff from them.
Talked to you since Illinois. Coach Rule said that goal line stand to start.
The feel after that was made was that they can do anything, and again, I keep expressing the fact that the young men on the grass, they train all year to get big and fast and strong, and then they go through drills and they go through practice. But when they do it on the grass, in front of everybody, the validation and the confidence, you see it right then and there. Like when they ran off the sideline on that, you felt like they can do anything tonight, And when they did that, at any time, I'm going to talk about in the fourth quarter, no matter what, anytime the defense had to run on the field, those guys were geeked up. You know what I mean? So now, again, they saw that what they had to do to get themselves ready to play. They saw what they're able to do when they believe and they play with confidence and swag. Now it's a matter of making sure we replicate those things in practice so that way they can take the grass knowing that they're ready to do that thing again.
How has Luke Reimer come back for you?
Good. I mean, he's back to old Luke. I told him when he was taking reps the other day, it was like he's a new guy out there. He's making calls and not sure and all this kind of stuff. It's like, hey, bro, like you've been here before, let's go. And now today he was back to old Luke running around and stuff, so he looked good.
What's it like with Coach Rule and just his willingness of, what if we move this guy over here, like Jeremiah and Bryce popping up at corner, and have you worked with a coach who does that as much even in season?
No, never. But that's what makes Coach Rule Coach Rule. You know what I mean? Like he's looking beyond just what everybody sees. He's always looking for one advantage here and there, how to put one guy in the right position, how to just do things 1% better, and that's good in the moment, and then that's great as a coach when you watch and see how he does it and how he's looking at it and stuff, and then you say, why wouldn't I try that approach the same way to things, So it's good for everybody.
Coach, Matt Rule said that yesterday he talked about meeting the players and adapting to his coaching style to kind of meet and connect with the players. How have you seen your coaching style adapt to this specific team?
No, it's the same way. Everything in the program, it starts with the head man. You know what I mean? And he sets the tone. And the one thing he's always done is he always wants to be right there with the players. He doesn't want to be top down. He wants to be eye to eye with those guys. And everything he's done, from, again, sitting down and eating dinner with those guys to having them, he has them at his house right now during the year. You know what I mean? You don't naturally hear that, but he has position groups at his house hosting, you know what I mean? And everything is always seeing eye to eye with those guys, so they know that when you coach them hard, that you're loving them hard, you know what I mean? So it's really easy to follow an example when he sets the tone like that,
For the young guys on your defense, how important was it to maybe get them, 5 snaps here, get them on the field early for their long-term growth?
Yeah, I mean, Van Pop, just when you said that, Van Pop is a guy, he had been playing 5, 6, 7 snaps, 10 snaps, played early, made some plays in the Colorado game, all that kind of stuff. And then, lo and behold, Illinois, you see what he did, you know what I mean? And now he's doing that. And there's going to be some other guys that do the same thing, that have gotten a couple snaps here and there. And now all of a sudden now their role is going to increase now that they're beyond the threshold of redshirting and all that stuff, So anytime you can get guys on the grass to let them go play under the lights and then truly see who they are and what they do, I think it's invaluable, especially not only for their growth, but then for the retention, right? Everybody wants to play. So when after the season they look and say, yo, I got a chance to play, they're hungry for the off season to do stuff right, to do. Conversely, you got a guy who hasn't played, right? Now he's not as happy, all this kind of stuff. So it's really, really crucial to get guys in who can play and get them on the grass and show what they can do.
Look at Jamari Butler evolve. I think he had a sack and a half in the last game and thought he could add more. And what's next for him?
Yeah, again, I think that's a testament to everybody in the offseason, right? Including Jamari showing what he can do. He like Makai, Buda, Javen, Bullock. You had all these guys who had the attributes that make up a good football player. And then from the development in the offseason to them being taught certain things in the classroom by T. Knight and Rob and those guys, and then letting them be able to go out there and just totally let loose and play. I think guys like Jamari are getting a chance to show what he's about, truly show what he's about, you know what I mean? And he's continuing to get better. I mean, the more he plays, the more comfortable he's going to get. That means the faster he's going to play, the more plays he's going to make, you know? So it's really fun to watch those guys who, again, they always thought they can do something, but now he's starting to know he can do something, you know, so it's cool.
If you look at like one of those games that you saw on Saturday, like one of those knockout drag fight games between Iowa and Wisconsin. I mean, as a defensive coordinator, what are those games like to be in if you've been in them before, and how difficult does it make your job?
Well, that's crazy that you say that, because there's two views, right? There's the view where if you feel like the guys have anxiety and they're worried, then you take on that as a defensive coordinator, like one mistake is going to hurt you. You know what I mean? So you're like, dang, one mistake can't hurt me, then it might affect your play calling. The last game we played, not to bring that up again, but after that goal line stand, like when those guys were ready to take the field, there was no worries. It was like, hey, they're going to go out there and ball, so let's go play. You know what I mean? There was zero of this looking at the scoreboard, zero. They wanted to play football. They wanted it to be Sunday night. You know what I mean? So I think that's the key, that Coach Rule was able to get him to that point to know what it was like, you know, to have that kind of success. So now everything is geared towards replicating that, you know, and then increasing it from there.
I know Jamari is the new Blackshirt, right? And so is Nick. Do you have any other new ones, and why did you give out those two?
I don't know if there's any new ones. Phelan earned it last week, right? And again, it's the emphasis on who we think is going to be the starter for that game, you know. And that was one of Coach Rule's biggest deals, you know. He take less ceremony out of it and make sure that the black shirt meaning was restored, that there's going to be a way you play football here, defensive football here in Nebraska, right? And make sure that we want to be one of the top defensive teams in the country, period. And so if you're going to be a starter for that, then you're going to be awarded. So those guys were the ones who did it. I mean, what their approach, their productivity, everything, when they get a black shirt, it's because of them. I mean, it's not given out. They earned it.
That must have been a pretty special moment for Phelan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, I said this before. You talk to any old black shirt, and they remember the first time they ever got it. And I asked the same thing with these guys, and they all remember like this. I mean, they remember the feeling. So it was good to have a good guy, an OU guy, earn his black shirt. And I know that's a memory he'll have for a long time.
So there's 11 guys with black shirts.
There's 11, and then, you know, if there's a guy like, you know, like Luke was hurt and stuff like that, Coach didn't want to take away his black shirt, you know what I mean, like, because that's a different circumstance, so he left his. So there's 11, and then that one was 12. Yeah.
Tony Quinn had his first interception at Illinois. If you think back to when you guys got here, how important was he in terms of you guys not only teaching the defense, but also him just kind of leading the entire group?
Yeah, you know, that's crazy, because I didn't even know that. You know, for as good as Q was, I'm like, you know, you a DB in the Big Ten, you done intercepted some balls, right? I mean, like, I'm just thinking like that. So then when they said no, that was the first one, I was flabbergasted. I was like, what, really? And so for him, again, it goes back to, once they do it once, now you get the itch to be like, I can do this again and again. And the more he builds that confidence, because, again, he knew he was a good football player, but that was the one thing that was missing, right? He almost had one at La Tech. But I think of him actually doing it, getting it, and then the return. You know, one he just got tackled by a whole bunch of non-athletes. I mean, he took it down the sideline, made a dude miss, and was actually going to go score, and a guy caught him from behind. You know what I mean? So just, I think that is going to, especially as you come down to November, you know what I mean? You want to win championships and put yourself in contention. Like, you were going to need Q to be great, you know, and that play was hopefully a turning point where he knows he can go get them.
All good.
Thank you.
Fire away.
How's it going?
Coach the other day said he thought Heinrich had a good bye week too. What have you seen out of him even since that Illinois game?
Just every day that goes by, continues to develop and get better. He's working hard at it, as are all of our guys. I think he's got a plan now each week, each day when he comes out to attack, and he accomplishes those goals, and through that he keeps developing into good players, or into a good player.
Coach, one of the players I want to ask about, he's going to have a bigger role, is Ty Hahn. How has he looked in practice, and how do you think he'll fit into the offense?
I mean, since we got here, he's been crucial just because he can play every position. He knows every position, and and with injuries and people in and out of the lineup, being able to plug and play a guy like that was crucial. I'm glad that he got out there the other night and made a crucial third down catch like he did. That was awesome to see.
How valuable was the bye week just for sort of big picture reassessing of what the offense has been and what it can be?
That was awesome. I mean, I think we handle bye weeks way different than anywhere I've ever been when I'm away from Coach Rule. I mean, we compete in everything that we talk about, just iron sharpening iron. Our guys went out every single day that we practiced, and sometimes they can be a lull in the off week, but this is one of the best off weeks I've ever been a part of as far as the detail, the practice, the competition, guys being locked into it. It was really neat. It was a good week.
Coach Rule talked last week pretty bluntly about Anthony and the need for him to improve his ball security, as he has mentioned several times this year, as Coach has. So what did you see through the bye week, and what are you expecting as you get closer to Saturday?
Well, we need him. I mean, he's a talented running back. He's one of the most talented running backs, in our league. But if you can't hold on to the football, now you start messing with, wins and losses in people's lives. So, until people are prove that they can handle the pressure of carrying and the responsibility of carrying the football, then we're not going to put them out there and put them in those situations. So he had a good week. Continued to emphasize that EJ's done a really nice job just daily. You got to be careful. It can't be like the ninth inning and you're going out there, hey, you have a no-hitter. You can't be that, right? Because then it begins to backfire on you. But I think that EJ's done a really nice job of working with Anthony, and Anthony's been very mindful of what he needs to do to get back on the field.
I'm just drilling down on Heinrich a little bit, going back to that. What has he done even if it's a small separation, what has he done to separate himself?
I think he's just the way that we play football right now. I mean, again, we're going to play whatever style of football it takes to win games, and whatever players that we have available. So I think the style of football that we're playing now is very, in his wheelhouse, and I think he's doing a really nice job of taking care of the football. And, with a defense like ours, if we just can take care of the football, right, and not beat ourselves, we have a chance to have success.
How different is the style of play, though, in this division compared to maybe what you had been used to, where field position, punts, things like that really have a higher value maybe than other places in college football?
No, it is. I mean, you have to have the guts and the nerve to go 3 and out sometimes and be smart. It might be 3rd and 11, you're backed up, and you're down deep in your darkest pits of your soul. You're wanting to take a shot at it, but what's best in that situation is you may hand the ball off. You may throw it short of the sticks and punt it and let your defense go out there and get you some more field position. So, this league is a lot different than other places I've been. Just the emphasis, and again, you have the different weather situations, the wind and the weather, the cold weather and stuff that come into play as we move through the end of the year is going to be fun to be a part of. But we have to continue to maintain, our mindset of not beating ourselves and making sure that keeping ourselves in good play and field position.
Marcus, do you feel like these younger receivers are ready to step up into this more prominent role now for the offense?
They have to. Now it's like, 3 weeks ago, y'all were asking that, and it was like, well, if he has a good week of practice, we'll get him out there, get some reps. Now it's, hey, you, and they look back, and there's nobody behind them, and they have to, I think it's really hit them that, it's our time to go, and I think, we'll look back on this in a couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of years, and kind of see where this is a turning point for those guys.
What's your evaluation of the offensive line through the first 6 games of the season?
I'm very pleased with the offensive line. Again, even sometimes in games where you have sacks, people want to blame the offensive line when say you have 10 sacks throughout a year. Usually there's about 5 of them that are on the O-line, and then there's 5 of them that's on a running back or a quarterback or something. All the sacks that happen sometimes in today's world of RPOs, it's actually a run play. The quarterback makes the wrong read, and it's a sack. So I'm, not to go down that road, I'm very pleased with them. I love their work ethic. I love their toughness. I love their commitment to our unit, their commitment to our team, and just how they go about their daily process. I think that, we really rely on them from a leadership standpoint throughout the game. When things start to go bad, we rely on those guys to dig us out of holes, and they've done a really nice job of that.
I guess Coach Rule yesterday talked about adapting his own coaching style, like during the week, to kind of meet the needs of the players to help motivate them. Have you yourself seen an adaptation to your coaching style?
To my coaching style? Yeah. We like these. I mean, we really like these dudes, man. These our players are awesome, and when you're around them every day and you see how hard they work and how important it is to them, we're all in this together. And sometimes that takes years to achieve. But I think that they know that we're in it with them, and we sure as heck know that they're committed to what we're doing. So I think it makes it easier. Daily interactions become fun. And you'll walk by offices and players are just hanging out, eating wings with coaches, watching TV, watching ball, watching cut-ups, offense, defense, offense. It's a great camaraderie going on in our football building right now. And I think that all kind of goes back to how Coach Rule's always done it. He's always been a player's coach and always had those relationships. And I think that our staff's done a really nice job adapting that mindset as well.
Appreciate what appears to be Jeff Sims' really good attitude about what's going on. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to have that. I'm sure the season hasn't gone how he'd hoped, but it seems like he's really supportive.
Well, he's one of the main leaders. He's one of the main leaders on our football team. He's a single digit, and it's not going exactly to plan. We both understand that, but he does not flinch. He's a tough kid. He's a great teammate. He coaches all the other quarterbacks, during practice when it's his turn to go get reps. He does it at a high level. Had a really good day today throwing the football. There's going to come a time when we're going to need all three of those guys to win games, towards the end of the season. So I think they're all locked in. They're all trying to get better. They're all ready for when it's their turn, when they're called upon, they're going to be ready to roll.
You've been with Rule long enough to see kind of how this single-digit jersey works. Is this an example of where, because he has that jersey, it's an extra, this is what's expected of you, and it almost gives you a certain responsibility because you have that single digit?
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever happened like this before, but I do see that. I think that once you put that single digit on, I mean, that's your teammates thought enough for you to, at the time when they voted, that you were going to be a leader of the football team. So I do think that it adds a layer of responsibility to those guys to know that even if things aren't going your way, it's about the team, not me.
To plan, when you think about what your vision was for the offense before the season to where it is at the midpoint, how different has that been, and maybe how proud are you about the adjustment?
I'll be honest with you, it's painful at times to watch. I get it. Like, it's painful for coaches to watch because we put a lot of time into this, and we have a picture of how we want it to look, and it doesn't always look that way. But we're having so much fun. Like, there's ups, there's downs, but it's fun to come in each week and kind of figure out how we're going to utilize what we have and attack whoever we're playing, and see the guys kind of adapt their roles and put their blueprint on the plan. So it may not be high flying and scoring 80 points right now, but it's a heck of a time, and it's a lot of fun because it's a group of dudes doing it together that are on the same page. They're just willing to do whatever is needed to win. Like, Billy Kemp wants to catch 12 balls a game. He comes up to us before the game and he's like, I don't care if I catch a effing ball all night. He goes, I'm gonna block my butt off, and whatever we have to do to win, coach. It's just little things like that. It's fun to be around these guys.
It probably goes without saying, but you've been coaching a while. You have years that aren't like that?
Yeah, there's years where it's hard, and you got a lot of individuals, and you got a lot of situations of people, just playing time and roles and stuff, and it just kind of fights off each other, and it's not always fun. This is a group that, these kids just want to win, and literally they don't care. Like, Heinrich doesn't care if he throws a ball, right? As long as we have more points than the other team, and it puts W on the left side of the column instead of L. That's all we care about. And when you have a group of coaches and a group of players like that, it's really cool to be a part of, and it's fun to come to work.
Marcus, with that in mind about how your offense obviously doesn't look exactly like you thought it would in the offseason, you're getting into an important time of year for recruiting. And, I know some of the coaches were on the road last week and watching players. So how have you found that your conversations have gone with kids who want to be a part of this program or are thinking about being a part of this program in the future, and they see an offense right now that isn't maybe featuring the skill players in the same way that you talked to them about how it would when you recruited them?
Luckily, like you were saying, I've coached a long time, so I think you can look at a majority of my career. You can look back the last 2 years, and you can kind of see, like, once everything gets put into place and stuff, kind of what it looks like. I mean, if there's a time that we need to throw it 45 times and for 600 yards, and that's what we run it 5 times, then we'll do that. We'll figure out how to do it. So we're going to adapt to the guys that we have, and those guys trust us through the recruiting process, the relationships we built. They know that, if you're a receiver and you're really fast and you can catch the ball, we're not going to recruit you to come here and block. like you're going to have to block, but we're bringing you here to throw you the ball and be a game changer and help us win games. So I think that they trust us, trust the vision, trust what we're doing here, and know that when it's all said and done, that every position, every skill set is going to be rewarded in this offense.
I don't want to assume anything, but it would seem like a year like this would help your growth as a coach. Just the challenges now that are in front of you. Is that?
I don't know. More gray hairs, maybe less sleep, but it's not always pretty, not always easy. But again, when you're in it with a bunch of dudes, man, it's fun to do it. I know I've said that a bunch of times, but it is really cool to experience it with these guys. Thanks, guys. Questions for Isaac?
How'd the bye week treat you?
Good. Yeah, no, it's refreshing, you know, be able to come in, get some hard practices in, and then recover the body.
You're a Nebraska guy. I think you got your first Blackshirt last year or the year before. Coach White was telling us that Phelan got it. I'm just guessing that must have been a really special moment for somebody who had been a lifelong Nebraskan and watching him get it and his reaction.
Yeah, no, I was super happy for him because he's worked his butt off since he's been here. So there's no other person that deserves it more.
Northwestern, I mean, can you kind of, that team lost their coach to start the year. Can you kind of relate to what those guys are probably going through there, the emotions that they're probably having to play with everybody?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they're a team that plays for each other, man. Like when they lost their coach, everybody stayed together, right? So we know what we're going to get. They're going to come in, they're going to play hard for each other.
What do you remember about that game? I mean, you probably don't remember much about Ireland, but just how they kind of hit you guys in the mouth as a defense, and I think a lot of people were surprised by that.
Yeah, no, they took advantage of our mistakes, so we can't do that.
The last 2 weeks without Luke, how do you think the defense kind of adjusted to that, and what's it going to mean to have him back out there?
No, it's big always having a guy like Luke come back, an experienced dude. So I'm glad to see him out there with us again. It'll be exciting.
Hey, that single jersey, obviously you're a Blackshirt, but you also got one of those single-digit jerseys. And I'm wondering if, like, now that you have one of those, if you feel an extra sense of responsibility because your teammates put you in a position of leadership, and what that means, like when you look at that number, does that mean something extra because your teammates told you you're a leader?
Yeah, no doubt. You definitely feel that. I know myself, I take pride in that, and knowing that my teammates voted for me to be one of the leaders on the team. So I know I take a lot of pride in being that guy.
The backup quarterback's got one of the single digits. How have you seen Jeff kind of handle the last month and a half?
Yeah, you know, Jeff's been super supportive and definitely giving like the defense great looks. So he's doing a great job holding that responsibility too.
Have you ever been on a team with a coaching staff that will move guys around in season like this staff will?
Yeah, you know, this is the first time for me a staff's done that, like moving receivers to defense and defensive guys to offense, you know, and I'm all about that because if a guy can play, you got to get him on the field somehow.
Pretty interesting sometimes. The first day or so you watch like Jeremiah pop back there, it's like, okay, I see what they see a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially Jeremiah. He's definitely got the skill set to be a DB, so I was pretty pumped to see him on our side of the ball.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, Coach Rule said, you know, this team, the defense needs to know that this is a defensive team. You know, after that Illinois game, do you guys kind of have that sense that you're the backbone and the team goes with you guys?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've felt like that for a long time, and at times we haven't showed that, but I think we know it now.
Isaac, Coach made it pretty clear yesterday that it's really important for him, for this team to not look down the road, you know, not watch games during your bye week and think about how that could play for the second half of your season. How has that been received by the team, and do you feel like that's any different this year? I mean, it's always kind of like a preaching week by week mentality with football, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but they mean it. Like Coach Roll, he really means it, and he does it by example. Like he's never talking about future stuff. He's always just talking about that week and just focusing on what's coming up and just taking that next rep mentality.
How do you think that can have an impact? What can that do when you're playing on Saturdays?
You know, to me, it's always coming into a week playing like we just got our ass kicked by Michigan, right? Like coming every week, like, hey, we got to get better this week, and next week don't matter. It's just this week right now.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm not asking you to divulge any secrets, but how do you like to get the ball, and maybe what have they talked about trying to get the ball in your hands more, whether that's throwing it or running it?
I like to get the ball any way possible. So running the ball, catching, any way possible. Like I said before, I'm here to do whatever they need me to do.
How have you seen the young receivers grow, especially in the last couple of weeks, now that they're going to be called upon more?
Man, I've seen them grow tremendously. Just going out there and getting the chance to show what they can do. Heinrich doing a good job at giving them chances to make plays, and they've been making those plays. So it's been great to see.
Coach Satterfield just said that you'd love to get the ball, but you went up to him and said, "Hey, I don't care if I get the ball. I'll block my butt off, and I'll make sure that we'll win for this team." And obviously, you've talked about wanting to have the ball, making those plays, and help the team win. How do you balance that so well of understanding? Yeah, I'm a playmaker who wants it, but at the same time, we got to go and win games.
I think it's just from being around the game so long. You go into the week with a certain game plan, and then a few plays happen, and some things kind of get flipped upside down. So sometimes it gets off script. So I want to affect the game any way I can. If it's making a big block for the running back to score, that's just how I'm gonna have to affect the game that day. So just here to do my job and make a big play any way I can.
When it comes to that first drive of the game, then how well have you guys been able to stay on that script and run the offense, execute it?
We had a few hiccups early in the season, but going down the stretch, I feel like we did a better job of staying on script and executing a little better, taking care of the ball.
I know you're close to Jeff Sims, you're a friend of his. Have you seen him kind of handle this over the last however many weeks?
I don't think this is a different a new situation for Jeff. I feel like he's been through something like this before. I don't see it as a problem or anything like that. It's just competition right now. Two quarterbacks working to be the best. I think he'll bring the best out of both of them.
You and Hare, I think the two offensive players with single-digit jerseys. I mean, what do you take from just the responsibility of having that number that the teammates gave you, the right to have one of those, and how much added responsibility is it as a leader?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how much added responsibility do you have as a leader because your teammates gave you one of those single-digit jerseys?
I don't think it's any added pressure because I don't think anybody was given a number. I think we all earned our number. So, when you earn something, you just have to go back the next week and the week after that with the same mindset that you did to earn the number. So, just attacking practice like I did before I had a single digit. I think that's the biggest difference. Once they see you still have the same mindset, not getting complacent, I think that speaks a lot as a leader.
What do you know about Northwestern and just being able to stay there in the last few weeks?
Good team. Looking forward to it. Good corners, safeties, switch up coverages, hold their shells a long time. So, we're doing a deep dive into them. Did one last week. Had, a lot of time to focus on ourselves as well that last week. So, we're coming out to attack.
Really, did the bye week come at a good time for this team, maybe just to reset and really focus on these last couple of games of the year?
Yeah, I think it was a perfect time. Being the midway point of the season, kind of broke the season up into two halves. First half of the season, and then we're about to start the second.
What did you personally do during the bye week to help get yourself right for the second half of the year?
I did treatment, spent time with family, and watched football. So it was a great weekend. Got to enjoy some games and see some teammates play, old teammates play. So it was fun.
Hill, you mentioned about how the Big Ten is all new for you. So now that you've played 3 conference games, what are your impressions of the way that football's played in this league?
It's physical and it's loud. So we played Illinois back in the ACC. Good opponent. But, just the main difference is just stadium's a little louder. Not too much of a difference, though.
Number.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
Healthy, energized, ready to go.
What did you do over the bye week?
I stayed here, hung out here, up and watched some film. Went to a couple volleyball games. Had fun.
For you, over this next stretch, how important is it you protect yourself, make good decisions? I mean, you've seen a lot of quarterbacks in this league go out for the season with different injuries. How important is it that you just play smart here over these final 6 weeks?
Yeah, I think I did a pretty good job of that these first couple starts I've had. I don't think I change anything. I'm still going to be aggressive as a runner. Still want to, when I can, bring the team on. When a quarterback is running hard, I think it really energizes the team more than a lot of people understand. So I want to keep doing that, but at the same time, like you said, I want to protect myself, but not to the point where, I'm not getting first downs or something.
Have you been able to, as these last 4 or 5 weeks have gone on, settle into a rhythm like through the pace of? I mean, you had a Friday game, you had a bye week, but just as far as the way that you take care of yourself, that's maybe different than what it would be if you weren't expecting to be out there for 60 or 70 reps on a Saturday.
Yeah, that's something that I need to work on, and I think as I start more and more games and get more and more reps on Saturdays and Fridays, I'll figure out, I can push myself even more on Tuesdays than what I'm feeling like I should be able to. And then, I don't want to back off on Thursdays and Fridays. Like those are the days we tune everything up so that we can execute on Saturdays, but you find a tempo, and you find the tempo for everyone else too, because there's guys that are, the O-line are taking a lot more beatings than I am. They find their tempo, and then we all just kind of settle in together.
Is there anything about standing here on a Tuesday and having a really pretty concrete idea of what you're going to do on Saturday, as far as the amount of playing time you're going to get, versus not knowing, like you experienced your first couple of starts?
I don't think so. And, if that starts to creep into my mind, I need to work on getting that out, because I want to keep preparing the same way I have been the last couple weeks. I want to prepare just like I have been the last 2-3 years. I want my shot. I want my opportunity. So if I get lackadaisical on a Tuesday because I feel like I need to protect myself for Saturday, I think I'm doing a really big disservice to my team.
What's your trust level with some of the younger receivers who are being thrust into a more prominent role on this offense now?
Yeah, there's a couple young guys that, it's hard, especially when some of them haven't been here. A couple of them have been here since the winter, but when they show up in the summer and, you don't get the summer to throw with them, it is kind of tough. But that's where, we need to treat Tuesday like a game day, because that way, when we get to game day, those guys, they're starting to come along because they've been practicing hard like it's Saturday all week.
When it comes to the first drive of the game, how do you think that's gone, executing those plays, staying on script with everything?
Yeah, it's been, this year's been kind of weird in that, the first game, we started on the -1 yard line. Illinois, we start on the -1 yard line. So sometimes, stuff like that does kind of throw you off script a little bit, but I think more than anything, it's not the plays, it's how we come out and execute whatever they call. Obviously in an ideal world, we're going to go with the script that, Coach Sat has come up with. But we got to be able to, one of these times we may start on the +1. We got to punch it in on the first play. So I think we just need to go out and execute on the first drive.
Heinrich, the coaches used the bye week for a little bit of a self-scout and to kind of evaluate where you guys are at. From an offensive approach of where you're at right now, how similar or different is it from what you would have predicted at the start of the year?
I think we saw from spring into the fall that this offense is constantly evolving, just because we have so many dynamic players. We have had a couple injuries and guys that like we said, need to come along a little bit. And so, when guys like, Marcus go down, that kind of takes away some of the experience on the outside. So you have to kind of change a little bit. But I don't think we're going to shift entirely as an offense. It's just kind of maybe shifting the load a little bit.
What have you learned, through your first 4 starts?
I think especially on this team, if you take care of the ball and do your job, good things will happen. It's not always pretty. We play in a tough conference. This is Big Ten. It's kind of like the NFL. Like, you got to take care of the ball, execute, do your job, and trust the guys on the other side of the ball and on special teams that they'll do their job too, and find a way to get a win.
Coach Rule had said you said a couple of weeks ago that becoming a starter and playing is a product of Coach Rule. If you work hard, you'll get out there and play. And obviously, you're seeing you guys get out there a little bit because of injuries. But do you see that same sort of, mentality or that same sort of theme when they get out there and play that might not have been out there before?
Yeah, I think our guys are starting to realize in this program that you gain what you work for. So, yeah, there may be some injuries in guys, but I don't think guys are looking at injuries as opportunities. They're looking at, okay, it's my turn now. I wasn't put into this role because of an injury. I earned this because of the work that I put in. And so I think as long as we continue to have that mindset, everyone will continue to grow, and eventually we'll be a really good team.
How often do you hear from, you grew up in a couple different places, but you spent your high school years in Kearney. How often do you hear from people now back home in Kearney about your play and just what you're doing?
Yeah. It's funny. I get texts from, people that got my number from so-and-so, or, I try to respond to as many of those as I can, just because I know how much it means to have someone from Kearney, someone to represent them. And so that's what I try to do, every time I go out on the field, every time I'm here, every time I'm out in the community. I really try to represent them.
You hear from former coaches like Coach Harvey or even Coach Purdue from a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I love, talking to Coach Harvey. I try to call him once a week, and he sends me a message, or, there's other coaches too, but try to stay in contact with those guys because they're the ones who, helped me put me in this position.
Speaking of volleyball, you took in a couple matches. I know you're laser focused on football, but how cool is it that the volleyball team's got number 1, number 2 this weekend? And I'm sure the football team is aware of that and aware of that team, and the volleyball team supports you guys a lot. How important is it that they have that kind of match after your football game?
Yeah, I think there's been more excitement, especially the coaches have started. They all have some of them have daughters who are really love watching those girls, and the football team, the volleyball team, we've been close. We try to support each other as much as we can. And so I think, Saturday, that big of a game after our game, I think it'd be huge if, we both get wins on that day. And, obviously that's going to be a big game for them. So really, really hoping they pull it out.
Are you going to try to get over there for it?
I will, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Hunter.
All right, thank you.